Morning, internet. I wanted to record a bit of a sort of vlog slash just thoughts video, really. Don't really do a lot of these for the reason that I don't really vlog a lot, but today's kind of special, so I wanted to record it for prosperity reasons, for just, you know, to look back on it in a few years' time and think, God, I remember when that happened. Um, So, um, this morning I woke up, I had checked my phone, I got a message from my sister saying, "You're going to freak out," or "Are you freaking out?" And um, I realised quickly what she was talking about. So I think it's officially announced on June 15th, but I didn't find out until June 16th, 2015. So it's the 15, 6, 15. Sony announced that they are finally making a Final Fantasy VII remake game for the PS4. Um, it's something that I and a lot of other fans have been waiting for a very long time, probably since the tech demo from the E3, God, like 10 years ago. So it's been a long time coming, and we never thought it would happen. So who, well, everybody who loves Final Fantasy and grew up with it is pretty excited right now, including me. So I'm wearing my Final Fantasy VII t-shirt right now because I'm a humongous nerd. But yeah, I mean, I've just calmed down from my little fangirling episode, and so I just kind of wanted to record a few thoughts, really. Understandably really excited about it. I watched the video a few times, and it wasn't how I expected them to do it, but I'm kind of glad they didn't do it the way that I thought they would, which was basically what they did with the tech demo, like do the introduction to the game again and then just sort of flash up saying Final Fantasy VII Remake. But instead they did kind of like it was like a movie shot thing, and they showed a few shots of Midgar, a highway, some people walking. There was a voiceover, and the sort of familiar. If you've watched Advent Children, there's kind of a sort of spooky melody in the background from a few shots. That I think it originated from the film. It wasn't in the game beforehand. And then it showed some I think it was from some reactors. There's a few soldiers, and then a shot of the slums, and just the side of Barrett's gun arm walking past, and then a shot sort of scanning up to the back of Cloud with his sword on his back. And then sort of a little bit about something about there was always the thought of return or reunion. And then just there wasn't even the logo. It just had they didn't have the Final Fantasy VII logo, but they did have Meteor in kind of like it was kind of like a metal stamp sort of effect. And then it just came across remake across the screen. So there was no confusion about what it was they were showing us. It is actual full game remake for the PlayStation 4. No release date, nothing, no other information as of yet about what what it's going to be, how anything about the game mechanics, anything about the battle system, whether they're going to keep it ATB, whether they're going to sort of create a bit of hybrid of like the battle system from 13 or something completely new. I can't see them getting rid of Materia. Materia is such a big part of Final Fantasy VII, and considering the fact that it's a remake, I'm pretty interested in how they're gonna bring the old and put in something new and interesting to bring it up to date, really. But yeah, I mean, it's a strange feeling when you have been waiting for such a long time and you don't think it's ever going to happen, you'd be surprised if it did or if it came in a different format, because it would, I mean, was one thing, one thought crossed my mind a few years ago was when they made Crisis Core, they created a whole game engine for that. And they could have used that game engine to do a port of Final Fantasy VII with, revamped character designs. They could have put the old PS1 backdrops and CG backdrops with the new sort of character designs, but they never did that. Which I'm kind of glad about, really, because now we're getting this instead. But there's a lot of ways they could have done it, and I'm just quite interested to see how they're going to make this game, because it's been something that a lot of fans have been anticipating for a long time. I think the last I heard about any mention of a Final Fantasy VII remake was they had surveyed some Japanese gamers, and I think over 10,000 responses said the most anticipated, most wanted remake of any video game was Final Fantasy VII. So a lot of people want it. It's probably, I think it's one of those decisions that a lot of us have said would be very smart financially for the company, because the gaming sort of not been on the decline, but it's changed a lot over the years, and there's been a lot of advancement in mobile gaming and handheld gaming, and it seems as though, to me, console gaming slowed down a little bit, but this could help bring console gaming back to the forefront and to stop it from being a bit clunky and stumbly and samey. And I know that that's a stupid thing to say for a remake of a game, not an original game, but considering the impact that Final Fantasy VII had back in '97 with the PlayStation 1, I think it could be the thing that revives console gaming, brings some serious profit for the company. Who knows? But I am absolutely thrilled to finally get this news. It's one of those things that you think, well, you come to this conclusion every year when either Tokyo Game Show or E3, when you're like, well, what would your dream announcement be? Final Fantasy VII remake, or one other thing that I always fancied the idea of seeing, and I don't think it ever would happen, but is a redesign of A Link to the Past, because that was still is my favourite Zelda game. I know a lot of people love Twilight Princess, Ocarina of Time is usually the one that tops the lists, and it's one game that a lot of people played first, but Link to the Past was the game I played first, and the game I probably replayed the most. So I would love to see that as like a full 3D HD remake, but I don't think it would ever happen, because the game's too iconic, I think, and because it's still playable now, it's not really necessary. But with Seven's kind of playable now for people who played it in '97, but I think there's less interest from the new generation of gamers, because they kind of, I don't know what it is. I think it's to do with the graphical capabilities of the console, the fact that graphics and how flashy a game looks is a big part of sort of a newer gamer's experience, really. I've grown up with gaming. I started playing officially I started playing computer games when I was about 2-3 years old, when I was sat on my dad's knee and he was playing on the Amstrad back home, Um, I had an Amiga and Sega Master System, Sega Mega Drive, Super Nintendo. So I went through all the consoles when I was a kid and played a lot of games when I was a kid. Um, so it's when you kind of grow up with it, you're not really bothered if everything's full of pixels or it's a bit pointy or whatever. But I think as gaming's advanced, less people have become interested in Seven um, as a game really because of the outdated graphics and the polygons and the rest of it. I mean, I don't know. I might be wrong. This is just one person's opinion. Um, but I'm really glad that they're doing this overhaul, and hopefully a lot of newer, younger gamers will get to experience it in this format the way I experienced it in 1997. I mean, I remember when I got the game, I didn't want the game. I wanted a PlayStation 1 and I wanted Tomb Raider because everybody went on about Tomb Raider and how fun it was and everything. And I didn't know much about Final Fantasy VII. And my dad got it me, and I think I got it Christmas Day, and I was hooked within about 30 seconds. It was the best thing I'd ever seen. It was amazing. I loved it to bits. And it was, I don't know, it stuck with me for a long time. And to this day, whenever anybody asks me, what's your favourite game? I don't even need to think about it. I just say Final Fantasy VII. Because it is. So yeah, I think that's it really. I mean, what do I want from the game? I want it to stay faithful to the original story. I don't want I don't think they'll do it, but I don't want any silly Ares revival plots or the how for a really long time someone said there's a secret way of resurrecting Ares properly, not through a game shark or anything else. I don't want any of that because I think that the sacrifice of the character is important for the game. I mean, she is the reason that they save the planet at the end. She's the reason that the live stream helps, the living people to fend off Meteor. So I think nothing like that. I'd love to see one of the problems I had with the original game was I didn't like the strategy at Fort Condor. I loved the idea, but the actual mechanisms of the minigame I just didn't gel to. I didn't enjoy it very much. I can't wait to see what Chocobo breeding, Chocobo racing is going to be like. I think it'll probably be a bit of a next step from the racing in 13.2, which is the last Final Fantasy game I played actually, because I've been travelling and I'm back at uni now, so I've not really had time to play games or anything. So I think that'll be really interesting. What else? I can't wait to see what mini games they bring to Gold Saucer. That'll be good, and to have Vincent and Yuffie added to the CG, the ending, the other cutscenes, because I think the reason that they weren't included in the ending of the original game, was because they didn't have time, so they just left them out. And I know that they obviously explain where they were in Vincent's game, but it just would be nice to have them in as as characters. What else really? I think I'll probably write a full blog post about this because I've got thoughts are so mixed up in my head, and it's God, it's a weird feeling. I can't really describe it when it's like finding out, I don't know, finding out your friend's having a baby, finding out you're having a baby, or um, some, like, I don't know. But I suppose a lot of people have these feelings, but I think what I'd like to see, what I'd like to see them do next is I'd like to see them remake or revamp some of the other older games like Final Fantasy IX, Final Fantasy VIII, and I think 6 deserves something special because 6 for a lot of people is more important to them than 7 was. I know 7's a lot of people's favourite Final Fantasy game, and that's why the fandom has stuck with it so long and waited so patiently for this remake. But 6 is also a um, really important game to a lot of games as well. Like, you know, some people played that, especially in America, played it back in sort of the mid 90s. I mean, in the UK, we didn't get Final Fantasy VI until I think it was after 9 was released when it came out for the PlayStation 1 for the first time. We never got the Nintendo version. I think it was 3 in America, 6 officially. So I didn't play the game until after I finished 9, which was like sort of 1999, 2000. So I think for British gamers, for a lot of British gamers, 7 was the first Final Fantasy game a lot of us ever played. So I think, yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna cut this off in a minute because it's getting quite long, but yeah, I'm really happy. Calm down now, and I can now go and do some work. And hopefully they will release some more news very soon. So it finally happened, guys. Excitement. There's a lot of 30 something geeks very happy today.